After a bit, Evan thought he saw something in the flames. It had only been there for a fleeting moment, but what he saw seemed as clear in his mind as if it had been there for hours. He thought he saw the face of Jack Worley grinning madly out at him as the fire charred and melted the flesh from his skull. Then the hideous creature's mouth began to open slowly, and Evan knew the next thing he would hear would be his name being spoken in some ghastly, undead voice. He quickly shook his head to clear his mind of the horrible image, and thankfully, it disappeared. His head now ached worse than before. Something was wrong with him, and Evan realized he might have to visit his doctor in a few days. After a moment, he got to his feet and discovered he was surprisingly off-kilter. He had not expected to become so drunk so quickly, but he realized he had not eaten since breakfast. No wonder he was half-hammered. No wonder he imagined things. Suddenly, he was startled by the grandfather clock striking midnight. "Time for bed," he said to the empty room. As he regained his balance and attempted to stagger out toward the hallway, he heard a strange noise from the foyer near the front door. He then realized that he had disarmed the security system when he got home, but had forgotten to rearm it. He began to wonder if some low-life scumbag of a character from town had taken it upon himself to attempt to break in and rob him. Evan was prepared to give the criminal a Christmas present he had never anticipated if that were the case. He walked over to the fireplace and clumsily withdrew a large wrought iron poker with a menacing-looking tip. Holding the door frame for support, he slowly peered around the corner toward the front door. What he saw caught him completely by surprise. No would-be burglar was skulking inside the door. The entire hallway was empty, at least, he initially thought it was. Then Evan noticed something strange starting to occur. It was as if the air in the hall, closest to the door, was changing its physical properties. It seemed to shimmer at first, then ripple in almost liquid undulations, appearing like waves above a black. At first, he took a cautious step away from the vile creature, then, driven by courage from either the whiskey or simple stupidity, he lunged forward with the poker and attacked the thing. He plunged the sharp end of the poker deep into the front side of the mass, close to the large central dome. He let go of the handle out of sheer disgust upon feeling the unearthly consistency of the thing. The poker seemed to sink deep into the throbbing glob of vein-riddled flesh, then spring harmlessly back out and fall to the floor with a clang that echoed in the empty hallway. Evan was suddenly hit with incredible pain in the center of his gut, which doubled him over for a moment before it began to subside slowly, and he could once again stand semi-erect. It was as if he were being made to feel the pain he had meant to inflict on the horrifying, creeping entity. He staggered backward a step or two and wondered aloud, what manner of creature is this ungodly thing? He started to turn to run for the back door when suddenly he heard a soft, liquid voice calling from behind him, "Evan, where, do you think, you are going?" He stopped and turned slowly, convinced that the hideous twitching blob on his hallway floor had just impossibly spoken to him. "Wah, what?" he stammered. "There's no need to run, Evan. Yes, that's right, I know who you are. As I should," the thing seemed to say to him, although he couldn't quite make out any mechanism by which the creature had articulated the words. Then he thought he noticed a long slit forming in the center of the creature's dome, appearing to run vertically rather than horizontally. However, Evan realized that since the creature was almost round, he couldn't distinguish its front, side, or back from each other. The crack opened slightly, and the stench, which had originally accosted him, became even more repugnant. Then he saw the slit begin to vibrate as he heard the quivering voice once again, "So, Evan, what special plans do you have for this lovely Christmas Eve?" Evan was taken aback by the question, feeling it quite odd and perhaps not what he would have expected the thing to ask him. Then again, what was happening was so bizarre that he had no idea what to expect. The vile thing asked, "Where are your friends, Evan? Where is the merriment, the festivity? Where is all the joyous celebration?" Evan was confused beyond comprehension, and although he felt foolish doing so, he shouted angrily at the pulsating gelatinous mass, "Who, or what the hell are you? What manner of being are you? And why, in the name of all that's holy, are you here?" Once again, the long slit began to vibrate, resembling the wave of an oscilloscope as the foul odor once again permeated the room, and Evan heard the strange voice speak. "Why, Evan? Do you mean to say you don't number 39, know who I am? Don't you recognize me? What in the name of God are you talking about?" Evan shouted. "You are one of the most horrible-looking things I have ever seen, even more revolting than the creatures of my worst nightmares. Recognize you? I don't even know what manner of being you are. For all I know, you may just be a figment of my imagination. Maybe, in reality, I am actually back there asleep in the chair and dreaming all of this. And quiet, he pointed back toward the living room. The blob-like gelatinous mound slid stealthily closer to the unsuspecting Evan, who was too preoccupied and equally confused to notice the thing's approach and, as such, didn't step back. The creature continued speaking to him with a calm and almost hypnotic tone. "Tonight is Christmas Eve, and you should be spending it with your loved ones, Evan, not sitting in the dark in this self-imposed prison you call home, but then again, you have no loved ones, do you, Evan?" Now Evan was becoming angry, at least to the extent his revulsion would permit. His more typical arrogant attitude rapidly replaced his discomfort, one he had developed throughout his lifetime, and an attitude with which he was most comfortable. "What do you know of me, you hideous blob? Nothing. You are just some sort of mirage, an illusion." Then, sounding once again very much like Ebenezer Scrooge, Evan said, "You are nothing more than the result of too little food and too much drink. I probably won't remember this strange dream by tomorrow morning. You are but a ghastly apparition. Leave me at once." "On the contrary," the thing corrected, "I won't be going anywhere, at least not yet. You do understand, Evan, that Christmas Eve is a special time, a time for magic and a time for miracles. And after tonight, things will never be the same for you. Look closer at me, Evan. Is there truly nothing, not even one little thing about me, that seems familiar to you?" Evan stared more closely at the loathsome, slimy, rippling mass of veins and flesh, and although he knew he had never seen anything like it, there was a feeling, a presence about the creature that did seem somewhat familiar. Somehow, there was something about the unbelievable abomination that he did seem to recognize, or at least he seemed to sense some sort of indescribable understanding. It was not something about the creature's appearance that was truly horrendous, but something almost telepathic. "Ah," the mass said through its rippling slit of a mouth. "There is some recognition after all. Do you care to venture a guess about my origin, Evan? Do you have the nerve to try?" The creature slid even closer to the unsuspecting man. Then, suddenly, the realization hit Evan, and he understood everything. "Are you insinuating? Are you trying to tell me you are, me?" "That's right, Evan," the blob said. "In a manner of speaking, I am you. You see, I am the physical manifestation of your tainted immortal soul. I am the essence of you, Evan. This is what you have become inside, a vile, disgusting mass of anger, hatred, and bitterness. No love, kindness, or beauty exists in me because such traits no longer exist in you. You have become like a living disease, a foul blight on the face of the earth. All you care about is yourself and your precious money. Your wife, Claire, was right, Evan. She left you because she knew you could only have one true love in your life, and your love is your insatiable desire for money." "It can't be," Evan screamed. "It's impossible. You can't possibly be me. You're nothing like me. You are just some horrible figment born of too much whiskey. Leave my house now. I demand it." He made a drunken, futile gesture, pointing his hand toward the front door. Then, he realized the massive globule was now just inches away from him. "I'll be going nowhere just yet, Evan," the thing said. "Look at me, Evan. I am your murderous soul made manifest." Evan looked as if he had been struck with a club. "Murderous?" he asked. "What are you talking about? Jack? Are you talking about Jack Worley's death? The boating accident? You stupid pile of stinking flesh. That was an accident, I tell you." The thing slid yet closer until the outer edge of its flattest surface touched the toe of Evan's shoe. Then it spoke again. "You can lie to the police, Evan, and you can lie to the townspeople. However, you can never lie to yourself, Evan, and I am your innermost murderous self." With that, Evan tried to back away, but before he could make a single step, a long, thin, rope-like tongue shot out from the mouth slit and wrapped itself tightly around Evan's throat. It burned the skin on his neck, and Evan could feel his breath being cut off by the fleshy lasso. Then the ropey tongue began to retract into the creature as the slit of a mouth grew in size from just a few inches to more than 1.5 feet in length. Evan was pulled toward the slit, gasping for air and whimpering with pain and realization. This abomination was formed from the evilest and most horrendous essence, from the very core of his tainted soul. And this unspeakable inside-out version of himself was sent here from hell to claim him, to make Evan one with its horrifying grotesquerie. Then, the sides of the gaping maw separated, opening to reveal an enormous black orifice. The blackness seemed bottomless, as if it were not so much a mouth but an opening or a passageway to some unimaginably horrible place. Before he realized it, Evan's head was inside the thing's mouth, which closed tightly around his shoulders. His flesh boiled and bubbled beneath its slimy touch. Soon, Evan's pitiful cries became muffled and were finally silenced. The sides of the slit rippled even more frantically, slowly working the rest of Evan's twitching body further inside. His body thrashed and flayed as it was sucked deeper inside the beast. Within a few short moments, Evan Flint was completely gone. The creature remained in the hallway for a few more moments, then, it slowly faded from sight. Until it was completely gone, along with the man whose greed had made the creature's temporary existence necessary on that clear and magical Christmas Eve.